Most men don't fail here in the Philippines because of bad luck. They fail because they don't follow a plan. Today, let's get a plan for success. Let's figure out from over 700 debriefing interviews, 700 men sharing what worked, what didn't work, what's working, what they did right, what they did wrong. Hey guys, it's Rob from Fly Me to the Philippines. Chrissy's on special assignment with the indigenous people up here in the mountains at a celebration. I'm here today to speak truth to power. I'm coming up just a few days away from my 3-year anniversary living in the Philippines, being in an age gap relationship, and a curious thing happened. Chrissy and I took a path to become consultants to future expats already living here, men who wanted to kind of follow in our footsteps. They not only want to learn how to meet Filipinas, how to enter into an age gap relationship, how to move to a lower cost country where English is predominantly spoken by a third of the population, and where to retire, what the culture is like. They want to know from my wife, Chrissy, how the culture here in the Philippines works and how they can succeed. And after over 700 individual consultations, I've had the privilege of speaking to men who've come on a journey and experienced the real thing here in the Philippines. Some have gotten married, some have moved in together, many have brought women back on a K1. Others have come on explorations for retirement. They've learned what it's like to drive here at night. They've learned if it's safe on a scooter. They've learned what it costs to live here. They've learned the culture, the smiles in the Philippines, the jealousy of the women, the tampo, how the neighbors sometimes play karaoke at 1 a.m., and of course the fighting roosters. Today, well, let's talk about the biggest mistakes that I've learned after all of these consultations. Chrissy and I, just yesterday, we had a client review a 90-day trip. What worked, what didn't work, the highs, the lows, if he had to do it over again. Today, what I want to do in this video is walk you through the lessons learned, and at the end, stick around, the single biggest mistake men make. And there is one really significant mistake that gets made over and over again. Now, after 700 consultations, it's not all success, and I would categorize it in thirds. About a third of our discussions, the men that we have debriefed, the women that Chrissy has investigated, the vacations we've planned, the solo trips we've organized, the help we give men on how to meet a younger age gap relationship here in Asia, not all of them are successful. But we have reached this point now. We've been doing it almost 2 years. And almost every week we get a phone call. Hey, we just moved in together in Dumaguete. Hey, we got the K1 approved. Hey, I just got back from the Philippines and what a trip. Oh my God, it went exactly as I'd hoped. Another third of the men, they sort of crash and burn a lot of times before they even get to us. And there's some classic mistakes you've all heard before. They don't video chat. They accept excuses. They chase too perfect profiles. They go online. They get scammed by organized crime, freelance scammers, province women with a smartphone and a sorry store Wi-Fi connection. And it's a sad story of men losing we've had over 100 men admit to us of giving away between $2,000 and $150,000 US. It happens every week. A man admits sending a lot of money to a woman he hasn't even video chatted with, or sending money to a woman who claims she can get a tourist visa to his home country. Not happening. Counterfeit passports, fake college IDs, relatives in the hospital that are photos we find on the internet. There is so much that we find in this, but that represents about a third of the mistakes. And these are really big mistakes. And then another third of the men, I say they're circling the airport. They may run out of fuel and crash. They may land the plane safely. They're still working it out with the advice we give them, and they haven't given up. And that's very important, the fact they haven't given up. So today we want to focus not on the most obvious problems, giving money before meeting a woman, no video chat. We want to focus on the mistakes that you can make that make your experience go bad, and the things you can do, the best practices you can do. Now, I want to share with you in this video the things I've learned, the hidden truths of how to make your journey to the Philippines a successful one. Whether you want to meet a wife, whether you want a long-term girlfriend, whether you want the adventure of your life, whether you're coming to find a retirement, I want to share with you what I've seen to be the most common mistakes that men are making. If you have 3 to 6 weeks before the plane lands, I encourage you to go online. I recommend the site that Chrissy and I met on, Filipino Cupid. Why? It's the biggest. In a survey, 30% met there. It's like Grand Central Station. Way more trains, way more bathrooms, way more coffee shops. Yeah, there's more dirt, there's more pickpockets, there's more freaks, there's more trouble, more scammer. It's bigger in all regards, but there's more potential there. And that alone will not make you successful. And that's going to lead us to our last point you need to stick around for. If you have 3 to 6 weeks, you need to give yourself time to fail once or twice, to make some rookie mistakes, to get trapped, to let your algorithm, your male algorithm, lead you astray. Most of my clients, the doctors that are successful, smart guys, regular guys, smart guys, they almost never sign up and immediately meet the woman who is the one they end up long-term with. They almost always get suckered into a scam in the first 5 days. They almost always get suckered into chasing the bait in the next week or two. And then when they finally do find a video chat and the woman doesn't ask for money, over 50% of the time, Chrissy finds a smoking gun in the woman's social media. So you got to give yourself 3 to 6 weeks to churn through, to go through the gauntlet, to learn from experience, trial and error. And if you pursue and persist, you can be successful. So that's what is one of the huge mistakes men make. And this is going to touch on travel mistakes. Men make a big mistake when it comes to traveling. If you meet a Filipina online before you come, like I think is worth trying, the way I put it is this: 3 to 6 weeks before the wheels touch down, go online. Give it the old college try. You know, how you write your profile makes no difference whatsoever. Just don't lead with your wealth. Put your real pictures in. Don't lie about anything. See who you meet. There's a couple of very simple rules. And I have a book. Chrissy and I wrote this book. It's free. I know I'm going to mention something again, but it's free. A Western Man's Guide to Dating Online in Asia and the Philippines. We do a cross-reference of the 12 leading dating sites. We give you rules of the road, how to stay out of trouble, how to stay right in the middle of the road, not make the easy mistakes. And the first thing we always tell people is never respond to anybody who writes to you on a dating site. Never, 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 never. Okay, yeah, there's a small percentage of the time a regular person writes to you, but it's so small a percentage, you don't have the skill and ability to figure out who the regular person is of the 500 incoming messages. Don't get it in your head just because you're the man, you're the scarcity, you're it, they're all after you, that you can go through, you can log on and just sift, sort, and condense 500 incoming messages. They'll be 90+% BS, organized crime, freelance scammers, and women that don't live in 1965. Now, we're going to talk about retirement and forget about dating later. But for right now, let's just get, the majority of men would love to meet a Filipina. They don't necessarily want to meet one in her 20s. They don't need a college student. They don't even need a woman in her early 30s. But the scarcity of women in their 40s and 50s is an issue. The country is poor. The sunlight is brutal. The minimum wage is $7 a day where I live. Women don't have access to health care, dental care, hygiene, protein, and when they have kids to feed and kids to take to the doctor, they sacrifice. And when they turn 35, they turn 40, they can look 55 years old from the humidity and the heat. And the ones who do look quite handsome at that age very often had access to money, access to a rich Filipino, access to a rich foreigner. And it's not necessarily in your best interest to follow in the footsteps of a woman who's had access to resources when there's so many. There are tens of thousands of women like my wife, Chrissy. Now, the frame I want you to think about is time travel, not coming to Asia, time travel. This is the This is one of the top 3 mistakes. If somebody told you there were women in Kansas, women in a small town in Canada that were old school, they embraced their gender roles, they weren't, the type that are trying to live this Instagram life. They existed in thousands and thousands. They're out there in the middle of the country. Well, the international flights, if they landed in New York, if they landed in Los Angeles, would you go to East LA to meet a woman? Would you say online, oh, good, she's from Bronx or Brooklyn, and the plane lands in New York, I'll start dating her? Why would you do such a thing? Once a woman moves to the big city, like the TV show Sex and the City, they were once from Kansas, but after 3-6 months, having coworkers who've lived in the city for years and years, they become big city girls. It's easy to get in a taxi and go to a bar or a hotel anonymously. But when you live in a town with 1, 2, 3 Jollibees, and there are no taxis and very few private cars, you have 15 uncles and 100 cousins. People know everything you do. So these women that you would like to meet, you can meet them online. It's very hard to travel and go to the towns with 2 Jollibees. I met Chrissy. She lived in a town with 1 Jollibee. She was from a town with 5 Jollibees. She went to college in the town of 1 Jollibee. There are no taxis, and you can count the private cars on your hand. But she has 16 uncles, and if she ever left town, if she ever went to a bar or a hotel, her father would know about it before she got home. So these women, it's like going back in time. You get your time machine, you go back in time, and you find a woman from 1965, maybe 1955. It's like Andy of Mayberry, that show. People say sir and ma'am, they use 3 parts carbon. There were no seatbelts in 1965. There was all kinds of stuff in America that was just like it is in the Philippines. Your job is not to go to Cebu City suburbs. It's not to go to the Manila suburbs. You don't want to find a woman who's moved to the big city. And you don't want to really, ideally, while OFWs have certain characteristics, initiative, hard work, they've been in an icebox maybe for 5 years, changing adult diapers, but they've learned how to be a breadwinner. They've learned how to make $800 a month. And now, if you disintermediate that money from their family, that's on you. If they've been living in Dubai, that's not 1965 anymore. They got in their own time machine and they traveled to the future themselves. So in a perfect world, take that 3 to 6 weeks. Go on one of the more reputable dating sites. It could be Christian Filipina, it could be Filipino Cupid, it could be Pina Love, it could be Dating in Asia. To be honest with you, I don't think any of the other ones are really worth trying. Certainly don't go on Tinder. A very, very liberated woman is on Tinder in the Philippines, and that woman's not living in 1965. Just because the plane lands in Cebu City and Manila, don't think it's advantageous that the woman lives very close to those places. It's more of a negative. If she's worked in a call center for 10 years, it's kind of a negative, but her English will be spectacular. You'll be able to really communicate. You're looking for a college-educated girl. She probably has 1 child, and she's probably a little younger than you thought you would be looking for. If you're under 69, it's going to be 27, 28, 29, 30. If you're 70 or older, you're going to look for 30 to 40. And be careful about the life experience she's had. Has she brought herself in her own time machine into the future? Dating in-person foreigners before, having a rich husband before, having multiple baby daddies. So now you inherit 2 sets of in-laws in addition to your family, 3 sets of in-laws the woman has. So that's a huge, huge mistake. And now, if you're successful, okay, if you persevere and you meet someone like my wife from a 1, 2, 3 Jollibee town, and she's living in 1965 with a body count of 0, 1, and college educated, she knows Trivial Pursuit better than your kids. She may not know who Napoleon is, but she knows pop culture. Her English is very good. She can really be your best friend. Now, you planned this trip to the Philippines before you met her. 2, 3 weeks before you met her, you decided I'm landing in Cebu City. Oops, she doesn't live anywhere near Cebu City. You decide I'm going to El Nido, I'm going to Boracay, I'm going to Baguio, and guess what? She has a job. She's a real person. And she's not going to quit that job before meeting you, okay? So the Philippines is a very forgiving country for last-minute reservations. Sure, you want to go to Dumaguete, but you gotta wait until you figure out if you get lucky. If you get lucky, like I did, and you meet someone like Chrissy, you don't want to land halfway across the country. You don't want to have non-refundable reservations all over the place. You want to go see that unicorn. You want to see if this is an unbelievable opportunity. Did you really, is your karma that good? Did you finally win at something? Well, you know what? You're a Western man and you've learned to love yourself. You've learned to have a need to have list, a nice to have list, and a deal breaker list. And you stay true to yourself and you persevere, and boom, it happens. It happened. Hundreds of my clients it's happened for. Some I've coached after some train wrecks. Some got lucky right out of the bat. It happens. It happens a lot. There are tens of thousands. And if it happens, let's not get out over our skis and fall in love before we vet the woman. You might want to use Chrissy's open source social media investigation service before you fall in love. Now, the way this works is don't pursue anyone who writes you. Don't chase the bait. Once you decide to go in the app and look around, it's not a lot to look at. You see a 35-year-old woman, she's a nursing student, beautiful face, unbelievable yoga outfit, bathing suit. She's college educated, speaks perfect English. Really? How many of those people exist? Where do you find the drop-dead gorgeous educated nursing student who's never been married, has no children? Come on, get real. So you better be suspicious. And the rule is this: don't chase the women who write to you. Don't chase the bait. Look for the girl next door. She'll be smart. She'll have been burned once before, and she'll start to use girl next door photos. She'll be beautiful. She'll have a great body. She's not going to show that on these online dating profiles. The opportunity is created by the woman who's been scammed. Once the woman leads with the barangay beauty queen picture, spends 6 months talking to a married man who never comes to the Philippines, the next time she goes online, she uses girl next door photos. No bathing suits, no yoga outfits. You can't quite see how thin she is. This gives an opportunity for a man willing to scout and put in the work. You look for the girl next door, you write her a personal message. Now, this is critical. 15 days video chat twice a day, no hint, no ask, no accepting of any money, full stop. And then, and only then, you hire Chrissy to do a social media investigation for a fraction, maybe 4% of what you're going to spend coming to the Philippines, a fraction. And you either get confidence to move forward, or you, like half, it's really 60%, whether you've already met the woman or not, 60% of these investigations just blow up. There's smoking guns everywhere. And so it's a good place not to go too much farther than 3-4 weeks. Don't invest 6 months talking to a woman and then check her social media. Don't come see her, go home and go, oops, I forgot to check her social media. That's when you do it. Now, when you plan your trip, you want to be flexible. Personally, I really like flying into Manila. I used to go to Makati. It's the Beverly Hills of the Philippines. I have some condos I've recommended to people. They're not mine, but I've had 30 clients stay in one condo. Recently, I found the Uptown area BGC right across from the Uptown Mall, 8-minute walk to High Street, above a Landers, which is like a Costco. I think that's the bomb, and it would be a great place for you to meet your Filipina, to fly her into Makati or BGC and spend 3 days. Now there's this rule I have, it's the 3-2-25 rule. Assuming you're coming for 30 days, maybe because for budget reasons or vacation or logistics, that's all you have. You want to spend 3 days one-on-one with your prospective Filipina. Whether you want a marriage, long-term relationship, or a best friend, you don't want to fly right into her hometown and just immerse yourself with family. Even if she has a kid, most Filipinas have a relative in Cebu City, a relative in Manila, and they can, and you don't send her money for a ticket. You buy the ticket, you send her a reservation code, a round trip ticket, 3 days, and you rent a nice Airbnb. The rule is you spend 50% more than your normal daily budget in these first 3 days. It's the wrong time to be cheap. And it's the wrong time to meet her when you step off the airplane. Dude, you're 65 with a dad bod. It took you 27 hours to get from Dallas to Manila or Cebu City. Do you really want to have a 28-year-old supermodel meet you when you walk off that plane? You're going to look 81 years old, okay? You know what the smart play is? You land at Terminal 3 in NAIA Manila Airport. You go up to the 4th floor. You walk across the sky bridge, you take the elevator down to the Belmont Hotel, you spend $80 and you get a good night's rest. She lands the following morning. And now you look 65 again. And if you've been preparing for this trip, you're leaner, meaner, and you're gonna burn the candle at both ends. So you better be ready to go. The 3-2-25 rule. 3 days you're gonna do this. You know, she loves you, yeah, but now that you're there and you're old, it's like, does she really love you? Has she ever really kissed a grandpa? Is that what she's ready for? Is it real or not? And like, I met Chrissy the first hour or two, I thought she was gonna spit me out like a fur ball, but she touched my arm, she hugged me, she kissed me. It wasn't 2-3 hours later, I started to believe again that it was real. But there's that period, you gotta test it out. You don't wanna rush to her hometown and introduce yourself to the parents on day one. Spend 3 days alone with the girl. Then test the chemistry. They'll be intimate with you on the first, second, or third night. Get a room, get an Airbnb with a futon, one bed and a futon. Tell her you'll sleep in the futon if it doesn't feel right. Then check her tempo, check her jealousy. See if she's breaking into your telephone in the first day. See if she's questioning you and she's overly jealous. See if she wants to spend your money on things that old school Filipinas don't. You know, I took Chrissy to H&M the first 3 days we were together. I said, you can buy, I'll take you to the cheapest store in the mall and we'll buy the cheapest dress on any mannequin. She said, absolutely not. I can go to the thrift store and buy 10 better quality dresses that won't fall apart the first time they're in the washing machine. To this day, 3 years later, she never bought a dress in a mall, ever. She never shops at all in the mall. She buys at the okay, the thrift stores, like 99% of all Filipinas. After 3 days, you build the confidence, the endorphins are rocking. You're like, holy cow, this is real. My kids said it wasn't real. My best friend said I was on crack. Everybody said I'm dumb as dirt. Guess what? This is real. I'm in love with this girl. She seems to be in love with me. She's either the world's best actor, and I'm the stupidest person alive, or she's in love with me. Now, a girl worth coming to see will have told you you have to meet the parents within 3 to 5 days. So let's say 3 days together alone, 2 days, the formula, go see the parents, buy a 50-pound bag of rice, order $150 catering of a lechon belly and some spaghetti, whatever, pancit, and have a little promise ceremony at her house. Buy a little $20 ring. 2.5 hours, no more. They don't want to speak English. They're going to have a nosebleed and a brain damage having you around, and you're going to be overwhelmed. 2.5 hours, show up, the neighbors, the relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, great. The next day, if there's a beach, a waterfall, a resort, plan a half day with the nuclear family, the core 12, 15 people, or plan a private meal at a restaurant in a room. Get to know the family a little bit more intimate. They'll open up, they'll feed you even, they'll put a piece of lechon in your mouth. That's it. 48 hours with the family, 2 interactions. Get the heck out of Dodge. Don't linger. Don't let your girl book you a room. Don't do that. Take the honeymoon before the marriage, 25 days. If you're here for 60, the remainder of the 60 days, travel around the Philippines. She will move away from her family and live with you in Dumaguete. If that's what you want, go check out Dumaguete for 4 days. You want to go to Iloilo, Bacolod, you want to go to Palawan, to El Nido, go and travel. I've helped hundreds of men put together itineraries, and I tell them what it costs. I have recommendations for Airbnbs and hotels. I don't book the thing like a travel agent, but I can put an itinerary together for you, and I can tell you what makes sense and where you would enjoy yourself. And during this time, it's time for more in-person vetting. This is the key to success, in-person vetting. It's a mistake to just go to Dumaguete for 4 weeks and park yourself there. It's a mistake to spend crazy money at a 5-star resort. And I want to teach you something really weird about the Philippines. You know, when you go to Thailand or even Da Nang, you can get any hotel, any Airbnb, and you walk across the main boulevard. There is going to be a beach like 4 miles long. It's a gorgeous beach. There's the beach. In the Philippines, if you go to Panglao or you go to Boracay, if you stay at a $300 a night resort, the beach and the experience will be spectacular. You won't even want to leave the resort. But if you get a $50 Airbnb, or if you rent a little hostel for $25, that piece of beach you find is going to be nothing special. You're not going to find that beach, that private, secluded piece of paradise that the five-star resort has. Quite often the beach is not that great. The Philippines is more of a scuba and snorkeling destination. And there can be great beaches, but you're going to need transportation, a scooter rental, or a car. Now, one of the mistakes you can make is thinking that driving a scooter in the Philippines is no big deal. Look, there are dogs everywhere. Everywhere they chase you on the scooter. There's loose gravel. There's bad infrastructure. There's potholes. There are people dressed in black at night, wandering around drunken. People don't use their lights at night. You got to think twice before you rent a car or you rent a scooter. Now, there's a lot of you out there that you are scooter people and you're going to do it and you're confident on a motorcycle. But if you are not super confident on a motorcycle, and riding with a person on the back, even if they're only 100 pounds, is much more challenging than driving by yourself. And I would encourage you not to go scootering immediately. The thing about the Philippines is if you have access, this bee is just after me. If you have access to a scooter, well, you have freedom. So that's why so many people go for the scooter. Now, everyone I know who's got a scooter, they're going to go down. And so many have reported to me they've had a near-death experience, but they didn't go down. But boy, the freedom you get. Now, it rains during the rainy season 2 hours a day. And this is a problem if you're on a scooter, because you got to deal with the rain, and then the flooding after the rain is a big problem for motorcycles. If you pay for a taxi and pay for a driver, it gets quite pricey. So my advice is fly from A to B. It's cheap, even with the cost of gas crisis we're having now. It's relatively cheap. Short-term airplane tickets may be a little pricey now because of what's happening in world events. Typically, you can buy a ticket 21 days in advance. You don't pay much of a premium. Hotels are always available last minute. International tourism is way down from South Korea. So resorts and hotels, they're not overbooked here in the Philippines. I wouldn't worry about that. You might not get the best Airbnb last minute, but you can easily get a hotel, an adequate Airbnb. And when it comes to Airbnb in the Philippines, you need to know this. People do not leave negative feedback in the Philippines, period, the end. A 4.85 with 20 reviews or more, mandatory. And you should read every review and see if they said it's loud, if there's hot water at the sink, if there's a bug problem, if there's a water pressure problem, if there's a karaoke problem. You got to read every review, no matter what the score, to see if people alert you to the fact it could be noisy or have a really lousy bed. Do your due diligence. On hotels, go to booking.com. They have the best reviews for hotels, even if you're not going to book it there. Okay, next mistake. The boots on the ground mistake. Now, rather than just not come at all, if you give yourself 3 to 6 weeks and, well, you didn't meet anybody, you just met a bunch of scammers, you went through the gauntlet and just came out worse for wear, use your superpower and come. And this is a critical point. As a Western man, 65 from Texas with a dad bod, your superpower is you can get on an airplane and fly. Put on that red cape and fly. So when you meet a 30-year-old Filipina, she looks at you like, I wonder if you're real. I wonder if you're really married. I wonder if you're full of bullshit. I wonder if there's a reason you've been divorced 3 times. And you say, guess what? I can land in 4 weeks. I'll be there in 3 weeks. I'll be there in 5 weeks. She's like, okay. Well, I could find out in very short amount of time whether you're full of BS or you're real. Are you really as kind as you're coming across, as smart and as well-heeled and resourced as I think? Or are you married and a liar and a scammer like the 3 guys I met before you? So this is really critical to meet a unicorn. You have to have a superpower. This business of being in an LDR for 9 months, oh, my next vacation's a year from now. Oh, I can't get there. I got a merger, an acquisition to do. I'm so important. They've heard it before, and they're going to move on to another man 3, 4, 5 months into this LDR. So you got to prove yourself and get here in short order. I saw tickets recently for $1,000 round trip. I saw $1,300 tickets, even with the high price of gas in relatively short term from the West. It's a very doable thing. You should budget $100 a day while you're in the Philippines. $50 for accommodation, $15, $20 a day for meals, an excursion every 3rd day, transportation, a flight every 3, 4, 5 days to another city. Very doable. $4,500 will get you a nice 30-day vacation. Now, if you're solo, sure, you can stay in a $33 a night hotel, free Wi-Fi, continental breakfast, and a pool all day long. If you're alone, who cares? You meet somebody, upgrade. If you've met somebody, go 50% over budget. In Makati and BGC, you need to spend $75 a night. $50, you'll be in the wrong location or the wrong unit. Just trust me on that, okay? Those locations require $75. 3 years ago, when I met Chrissy, I spent $125 a night. That same place now is $75 a night, but that's what you need to spend. Once you go on the road, when you're visiting her hometown, yeah, you can cut back to $50, $40 a night Airbnbs, studio Airbnbs. Don't throw your money around. Filipinos are happy at Jollibees. They don't expect to be taken to 5-star resorts. They don't expect to be, and go out for your nice meal for lunch. Stay out of don't be wandering out of bars and restaurants at night and weaving your way home after a couple of drinks. Go splurge during the day on lunch menus, and they don't expect to be treated to fancy meals. They just don't. And if they do, you might not have found somebody from 1965. Now, boots on the ground business, okay? I think there's a reason why so few of the men that we talk to just met their Filipina boots on the ground and they need to have a background check. It's so few, it's like 5 or 10%. And in the survey, it was really only like 30% of the men. What I believe is you should have online tools working while you're in the Philippines. If you strike out before you come to the Philippines, the best thing is to have your online tools and go hybrid. So you are in Cebu City, you're in the IT park. And by the way, I have a free PDF, 50-page PDF, how to work the IT park, what time of day to meet the girls, what time they go on lunch break at 1 a.m., where they'll be at the Cebu night market, what coffee shops you'll find them at 5 a.m. And just write me and say Cebu City IT Park PDF, and I'll send that to you for free. What you want is, you want to start your day by searching for the unicorn in the entire country. You didn't meet her while you were back in the West. You're here now. And now you say, hey, I just landed in Cebu City. I don't know anybody. I see you're from Leyte. You video chatter. You video chatter 2, 3 times. After the third video chat, if you think you're onto something, leave that condo empty in IT Park and fly to Leyte. Take her out to dinner, take her out to lunch, get a room for 1 or 2 nights. Pursue it. If you don't have that experience, then search who's 25 kilometers from where you're staying. You get a video chat going. After one good video chat, hey, I'll send a grab car to your the restaurant near your house, the hardware store near your house. Hop in and meet me at the mall. You don't want to pick her, you don't want to know where she lives, you don't want to have her come to your condo. 10 o'clock coffee at Starbucks, 5 p.m. dinner at the mall. Your goal is to set up dates with women you've had 1-hour video chats with successfully the day before. Now, then you go to the mall every day at 2 p.m. You ask 10 girls, where's the nearest Jollibees? I just got off the plane from Scandinavia, and my friends told me when you're in the Philippines, you have to eat at Jollibees. It's a huge thing, this Jollibees thing. It's like, forget about McDonald's, eat at Jollibees. Have you ever heard of Jollibees? You just act dumb. Have you ever heard of... A Filipina is born with a Jollibee organ in their brain. Jollibee, they get a smile on their face, they get happy. It's like you gave them a drug, and they're gonna smile. And if they're not in a long-term relationship and they like you and they like your looks and they're potentially a partner, they're gonna walk you over to the nearest Jollibee. And they all know where the nearest Jollibees. You take a Filipina, blindfold them, put them anywhere in the Philippines, ask them where the nearest Jollibees is. They know. I don't know how they know, but they know. They always know where the nearest Jollibees is. And every mall has a Jollibee, every mall. And there'll be one right outside the mall half the time too. So work a hybrid plan and keep yourself flexible. Because look, what if she says, oh, I'm not working? You go, great, I want to go to El Nido, I want to go to Borca, I need to be in Palawan, I need to go to Baguio, can you come with me? She says, after you meet my parents. 3, 2, 25. 3, 2, 45, 3, 2, 60, okay? And leave the flexibility. Now, if you're coming and you want to figure out where to retire, there's a bunch of mistakes people make here as well. They make a beeline to Dumaguete, and we have a book we just wrote 60 days ago, the Dumaguete City Guide. Just write to us at flymeToThePhilippines@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you for free. It's about 80 pages. It's just a guidebook for Dumaguete. Now, Dumageti's got a lot of foreigners, more than really I need to be around, and there's no beach on the boardwalk, but there's a lot right about it, and Valencia is cooler weather up the hill for potential long-term accommodations, and it's one of the cities you probably want to see. But one of the mistakes men make is they don't go to Davao. Very few, it's like in Mindanao, they've heard bad things about Mindanao, but you know, I just saw a safety ranking for the Philippines. I was quite surprised. Dumaguete was #1. I don't know why. Usually Dumaguete's top third, but in this particular ranking on Facebook, I saw it was #1. Davao was #2. Davao is always #1 usually for the safest, cleanest city. 2.3 million in the metro area. The size of the Cebu City metro area. The difference is it's all spread out. It's like a Western city where the taxi could cost real money because the wheels move and they drive 25, 30 kilometers to get you where you're going. It is clean. I don't know how the black mold's not growing in Davao, but everywhere else all the concrete has it. There's traffic signs, there's dividers on the highway. There is traffic, but the choice of restaurants, the things to do, the waterfalls up the coast, the tuna you can have if you go south to General Santos. It's one of the places I highly, if you only were to look in retirement for 3 or 4 cities, I would say you could. It really depends on a number of factors. How important is medical care? So if you're thinking of retirement, don't overlook how long it takes to get to a hospital and whether the hospital is worth going to. You know, Dumaguete's an unusual city because it has an American-based teaching hospital for medicine, Silliman, and it's a 100-year-old college, the first American-based college in Asia, I think. And a lot of expats are happy with that, a town of 110,000, 120,000 people, and they get good medical care there. But otherwise, you need to be in Makati Medical, St. Luke's, you need to be in Chonghua in Cebu City, you need to be in Davao for good medical. I live in a town of 800,000. We have 4 major hospitals and a private hospital just 3 kilometers from me. It's not very well staffed, it's kind of new, but it's there, and one day it'll be a big hospital. But an ambulance will not come within 40 minutes. And the way to get to a hospital is to have a pickup truck and a relative who can drive it. And otherwise, you're in big trouble. In Chicago, an ambulance comes to the average person in 8 minutes, no matter where you are in Chicago. That's the average response time. So you need to ask yourself, if I'm going to retire, how's my health? Do I have a condition that needs to be managed? If I fall off a ladder, is it important that I get to a good hospital or just a decent hospital? Second is, how do you feel about being a beach bum? How do you feel about the weather? I'm up here right now at 2,850 feet. It's the hot part of summer, and it's not bad at all. It's really not bad at all. And I like the elevation. I like the mountain. When you're at sea level, it's hot. And there's lots of sea, lots of beach, but it is hot and humid, okay? And not everybody's ready for that. Years ago, I saw a YouTube, and the guy had lived at the beach in the Philippines for 2 years. He went from like 67 to 69 years old. And he said, I looked at myself in the mirror, and oh my God, the salt water, the beach, the sun. He said, I aged like 6 years. And he's decided it wasn't for him. He picked up and moved to Dalat, Vietnam, of all things. I found, even though I grew up in LA and I love the beach, and every year I took a week at the beach, and I love nothing. I'm going to the beach next week, actually, in 3 or 4 days. But I love elevation in the Philippines. I like not to turn on the air conditioner. I like to have a breeze. So Valencia above Dumaguete's one place. Davao, 45 minutes out of town, high mountains, the Bukidnons. Baguio, yeah, we said it's one place you might not want to retire, but if you just don't leave the house Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and run into the tourists, you're at 4,500 feet of elevation, no heat, no air conditioning required, lots of strawberries, fresh vegetables. There are some microclimates outside of Bacolod, south of Manila in Tagaytay near the volcano. It's very nice there. There are places very inexpensive, 2 hours away from CDO, where I live, Malaybalay. There are places where you can get to elevation, you can golf, you can live a simple life. So don't be short-sighted. Don't come to explore the Philippines and spend a week in Manila, a week in Cebu City, a week in Dumaguete. Maybe you go to Iloilo because it's like a miniature BGC. It's got good infrastructure. If you're not a city person, if you don't want a city life view from the 30th floor, if you don't want to walk out your door and pay $5 for Starbucks, those places really aren't for you, and the girls there are not really what you're looking for. Another huge mistake people make is they make longer term reservations. I've had some really difficult time finding places that aren't noisy, without roosters, without karaoke, without construction noise. So I recommend, you book 3 days, then you book 5, then maybe 7, then maybe 30 days, eventually 90 days with an option to rent for another 6 months. Be careful about booking a place for a year. You don't always get your deposit back. And this is another mistake. They ask for 60 days deposit, 2 months deposit, 12 post-dated checks. Holy crap, it's 2026. Who the hell has a check? And you're a foreigner with a pension. Why would you need to give 2 months security deposit? You just look that landlord in the eye and go, look, I'm an American with no kids, or 1 kid that my girl has. I can't be fired. I have a pension. Your biggest fear as a landlord is the tenant loses his job and doesn't pay the rent. I can't lose my job. I'm on a pension. I'll give you 1 month. Now, you might have to negotiate a month and a half, but my landlord took a month, and I didn't give him post-dated checks. I told him I sent him Zelle because he lived in Sacramento, but otherwise you can Gcash or Wise money directly to him. From Wise and Remitly, you can send money directly to Gcash or directly to people's banks. Even Western Union, you can send money right to Gcash if your landlord has Gcash. So don't race forward into long-term leases and what I say is, tell them you want to sleep in the property Friday and Saturday night. You'll bring your own sheets. You won't cook in the kitchen. You'll order out. You'll sleep there. If it's quiet, if the hot water works, the water pressure works, the neighbors are not doing karaoke at 1 a.m., the roosters next door are not fighting roosters, and the dogs are not retweeting all night long, you'll rent for 6 months. So be careful about that. Now, I promised you the one mistake is the single most important mistake that men make. And this is something that you really, really have to understand. And it's perseverance and persistence. Now, I've used this analogy before. In business, there's 2 models, consistency and persistent. So if you run a bus company or Southwest Airlines, you're in a consistency business model. If you're a dentist, you can't charge 1 client enough to make your month. Maybe you have a good client, but no 1 client, no 1 day as a dentist, no 1 day as an airline. There aren't enough seats to sell to make your profit for the whole month. So you're in the consistency business. You expect to get a little bit of revenue for a little bit of work. You do it every day. Okay. Most men, doctors, mailmen, plumbers, they're consistency men. They know consistency. If they put in an investment, they want to see a return. They don't like to make investments that have no return. I've got bad news for you. Meeting a Filipina, getting to know the Philippines is a persistence model. Okay, now some of you are salesmen, some of you are entrepreneurs, some of you are business development, some of you are hunters that can scout and lie in the snow for 6 hours waiting for the herd to alert the others who like to cook it, clean it, skin it, etc., and eat it. Out of 100 men, 98 like to eat it. Only 2 want to go out there in the ice and snow and find what you're hunting for. A persistence model looks more like an oil wildcatter, a man who has to drill 15 wells before he hits oil, and he's almost out of money and backers. Someone searching for buried treasure. He doesn't find it the first day. He doesn't find it the first month. He doesn't expect to. He hopes to. He's got a hope. It could happen. It happens to some. But most it takes time. It takes effort. It takes failure, failure, failure. You expect to fail. You are vetting, sifting, sorting, condensing. What you are doing is you are hiring hard so one day you can manage easy. Look, at your age, you only want to do this once.
If you've already met a Filipina, I've developed this relationship assessment tool. Right here, you can scan the QR code. It will only take 5 minutes for you to get the results. If you like this video, it will help the channel if you're gonna like, subscribe, and share it to your friends. If you would like a big brother and a little sister to help and coach you for 3 to 6 months, write us at flymetothephilippines@gmail.com.